What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Videohomicide, back with another movie review / recommendation. Today, we're going to go back to the year 1980 to take a look at a film directed by Lucio Fulci. That film is none other than City of the Living Dead, which is the first installment in the Gates of Hell trilogy. And I've actually got my OG VHS tape titled Gates of Hell. So this is actually City of the Living Dead. Gates of Hell is a term that's used to describe the Gates of Hell trilogy, which is City of the Living Dead, The Beyond, and House by the Cemetery. All fantastic films, all directed by Fulci. I've sort of struggled with coming up with my sort of top 3 Fulci flicks, and it basically comes down to City of the Living Dead, Zombie, and New York Ripper. Not exactly in that order, and you could ask me at different times and it might change, but basically I wanted to showcase some of my City of the Living Dead merchandise or collection. So this right here is a triple feature that I actually made myself years ago. This has City of the Living Dead, The Beyond, and House by the Cemetery as part of my Bluntzilla video tape collection, which I only ever did 3 installments. So there's this one, there's Zombie double featuring with Monster Squad, and then there's one other one, I forget what the titles are. But this was really fun to do, and I suggest if you have the ability to sort of make your own mixtapes, go ahead, man. All you really need is an Xbox 360, possibly a PS2. You just need to have something that you can hook up to your TV, that you can hook a VCR up to as well. You know, run it through, tape it, boom. You know, you could do all sorts of experiments. I included a bunch of different trailers and all kinds of stuff on these. These are fun to make. The next thing that I got, which is the first thing I showed, I believe, this right here is actually a bootleg of a Vipco release of City of the Living Dead. I've got the official Vipco release of The Beyond. This, surprise, surprise, is actually fucking empty. I used to have all my bootleg tapes up here on the wall, but I've sort of moved where they are. City of the Living Dead, though, it's the kind of movie that when you watch it, like tonight when I was watching it, it's sort of been the first time in a while that I watched it. It is sort of a fucking all over the place kind of movie, but when you've seen it enough times, you get it. I watched it with my wife tonight, you know, and she's seen it before. Matter of fact, when I lived at the apartment, we used to fucking take this exact tape and just push it in the VCR in my bedroom, and it would just play, pass out to it. Sometimes you'd wake up in the middle of the Beyond, the ass end of fucking House by the Cemetery. It was always a good time. But if you don't know the story of this film, it's basically there's this priest that commits suicide in the town of Dunwich, and at the same time that he does this, there's this woman that's taking part in this seance, and she sees this suicide happen, and it opens the gates of hell, and she gets labeled dead, she gets buried alive. There's a lot of you know, Christopher George is in this film. There's like the Kill Bill element when she's buried alive, I think is awesome. You know, a lot of films recently, I think what was it? Was it Paganini Horror? There was a Tarantino thing in there. Like, it's crazy. The more movies you watch, the more references you understand. And it's cool, man. But the one part of this film that I like that's not horror related or like gory or anything like that is the scene where Christopher George and his chick that he's rolling with, they end up meeting up with you know, the therapist guy and the chick he's rolling with in the cemetery, and he's like, I gotta tell you a story, you might not believe it. And then the guy's like, I'd pretty much believe anything by now. And then it just like cuts to like Christopher George sitting down on a couch going, and that's the story, that's the whole story. And like, it's a perfect way to just be like, you know, like without having to explain all the bullshit, which I appreciate. I like when movies like this do that. I find like Giallos do a good job of like, okay, if there's some sort of like unnecessary bullshit, they'll graze over it a lot of times, which is great. This right here, I've never watched. This I picked up from Odyssey Records. Shout out to Odyssey Records. It's limited to 200 or 2,500. This is Pora, Lucio Fulci Remembered Volume 1, which is a documentary about Fulci that I've not watched, so I'll definitely have to check this out. There's also another Fulci film called Fulci for Fake. I believe it's called Fulci for Fake, and shout out to Richie the Caterpillar. I think he did some of the graphic design for that flick. But it's sort of about, it's like a documentary that has reenactments, and like the director of the documentary is portraying Lucio Fulci, so it is wild. But City of the Living Dead, some of my favorite scenes. Okay, let's get into it. Basically, there's the scene with Bob, this guy, I forget what his name is, but I actually met him at Shockstock one year. He's the guy, sort of like retarded and, hated around town for like, being inappropriate with girls and stuff like that. He gets a weird scene where he finds this blow-up doll that's like inside a wood stove or a fucking old washer or something. It just inflates itself, and then he's about to get fucking frisky with this blow-up doll. And then he looks down, there's just like a fucking skinned baby on the ground, covered in worms and shit. I remember when I was a kid, and I was first watching this flick on this tape, I was always looking like, what the fuck am I looking at? Come to find out it's a kid. Bob gets one of the most memorable deaths in all of Fulci films, as far as I'm concerned. He gets the drill through the head. Now, it's, for me, sometimes I mistaken Intruder, the death scene in Intruder where the guy gets like his head through the saw. It sort of reminds me of this scene where he gets the drill through the face, which looks great. It looks absolutely great. Bob, of course, later on comes back as a dead guy, a demon, ghost, zombie, whatever the fuck these are supposed to be in this film. Great makeup effects, I believe by Gianetto De Rossi, I believe is the makeup effects artist. Amazing. I think he also did Zombie. Like, I've talked about this recently, like the zombies in Zombie, I think are the best looking zombies period in any films, like even more than Dawn of the Dead, which I love, but like what's known as the Conquistador zombie, like the main zombie, which I'm actually in the middle of doing a painting of. I started this painting like a year and a half ago, but now I just kind of want to finish it off. But that zombie looks better than like any monster I've ever seen in a movie. It's just fantastic. And all of the sort of background zombies look great, but City of the Living Dead has its goodness too. Like there's that scene where there's a couple inside of a car. They're fucking getting hot and bothered, right? It's like in Grease when fucking Kaneki and Rizzo are getting it on in the back of the car, and then Buddy comes up and he's like, "You're in a no parking zone." And then Buddy goes, "The whole place is a no parking zone, crater face." I love Grease. Don't be surprised if you see a review of Grease coming in the future. But they're getting it on, and all of a sudden the priest appears, freaks out the chick, and then just possesses this chick. Like blood's coming out of her eyes. Like when we were watching it, we're like, how the fuck did they do that? Because like I could understand like hiding tubes like behind her hair here, right here, but like her eyes are like filling up, like her eyelids. It's fucking wild how they did that, man. And then like guts just proceed to shoot out of her mouth like that. The gut scene takes way longer than I remembered last time I watched this. It seemed like it went on forever. Like first it's her actual mouth, you can tell, and then it cuts to a dummy, but damn, does it ever look good. So that scene is sort of legendary. I got a trading card. I think I bought a shirt from Fright Rags probably like 10 years ago, and it came with a trading card, and it was a shot of that. It was a shot of the Fulci fucking mouth gut thing coming out. Of course, we've got a bunch of different, those two kids that get killed by the priest, like the boyfriend, the Kaneki of those two, he gets like his fucking brains ripped out, basically. They come back as zombies later. There's a really good moment where, like the little boy is there's a little boy in this movie that's whose sister gets murdered. She was like about to be accosted by Bob, at least the town folk think. I don't think he was really going to try to like rape her or anything like that, but I liked how she's like, "Hey, let's smoke a joint, huh?" And I actually heard, I think it was on the special features of Cannibal Apocalypse, right here. So this John Saxon flick right here, there's the guy. His name is, what the hell's his name? I don't know, but this dude is actually Bob. So, shit, man. But there's a special feature where that guy's talking about Fulci flicks, and he mentions that during that scene where Bob and the girl he was with, when they're in their makeup, I guess they had to wait for a long time for the film set or the film crew to like set up, and they ended up actually smoking a joint. And so when you see the flashes of Bob and that chick in their zombie getup, they're baked. And I just love little details like that, man, because it just lets you know that, like me and my wife, we've been talking about recently, like we watched a few episodes of this show called Reading Rainbow, which is a show that I'd heard of, but I never watched back then. And we watched a few episodes, and it really just brought us back to this time like pre-internet. You know what I mean? And I was thinking when I was watching this flick, I'm like, yeah, waiting for that scene, because I remembered that topic in that documentary where he said he was high. So I'm waiting. I'm like, yeah, that guy's baked right there. And I'm just thinking, like, this guy, it's 1980, probably filming in 1979. There's no fucking near where anything of internet. You know, you're just living life. And I think that is a time that is now lost. You know, living life without having to fucking justify it through way of like social media and all that stuff. And that's sort of, I've talked about in the past, like how YouTube is sort of like, you know, a double-edged sword, where like there's a lot of stuff you can learn, a lot of stuff you can be entertained by, but there's so much trash and like all these different types of channels where they're prank channels, or they're fucking, you know, they're going into a mall and like throwing a fucking diaper at some old boy. You know what I mean? It's crazy stuff what people want to watch. But I want to watch Fulci films, and I'm sure that if you're watching this video that you also want to watch Fulci films. So you know, I love the end of this film. You know, the end of this film is confusing as fuck. There's like, it just sort of ends abruptly, but that whole underground crypt scene is fucking awesome. All the bad guys, all the zombies getting sort of just lit on fire. Like, it's great. It's a great film. I can't recommend it enough. If you were to ask me for like 5 films to get to know me by, this would definitely be one of them. So I appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure you leave a 666 in the comments. And with that being said, adios. Fulci lives.